Archangel Michael wants to talk to you for 2 minutes right now because your pending miracle has been approved. If you open this message before tonight, you will get great news. Open it immediately. The moment you opened this message, something shifted in the unseen, and I need you to feel that before anything else, because this is not a moment you stumbled into accidentally. Not a sentence drifting across your screen by coincidence. No, this is the precise minute that has been circling your life like a silent star waiting for your eyes to meet it, and now that you're here, now that the doorway has been touched by your awareness, I am permitted to speak to you with a magnitude I have been holding back for far too long. Listen closely, because time has curved around this moment with urgency, and what you do in the next breath carries more spiritual weight than you realize. I am speaking to you as one who sees beyond the layer of your doubts, as one who has watched you stand in storms that no one else noticed, as one who knows how many times you whispered into your pillow hoping something, anything, would shift. And now that you are here, I want you to understand why this message is vibrating with a force you can almost feel under your skin, the approval you have been waiting for, the release, the breakthrough, the miracle you thought might have been abandoned in the heavens. It has not only been acknowledged, it has been activated, and its movement toward you has accelerated in ways you cannot yet measure. I need you to hear that without shrinking away from it, without telling yourself not to hope too hard, because hope is not the enemy you were taught it was. Your hope is the very frequency that unlocked my permission to reach you right now. You have been walking with a weight you never confessed fully, carrying fears you tried to camouflage with strength, but I saw every tremor, every small collapse behind the closed door, every moment when your heart cracked and you kept going anyway. Do not underestimate what that persistence has set in motion. There are energies that respond to courage the way light answers a flame, and you have been carrying a flame in the darkness for so long that you forgot it was there. But I saw it. Your resilience became a beacon, a signal in the spiritual realm that now demands my full presence. This is why I speak with urgency, because there are forces trying to convince you to doubt the timing, to question your worth, to believe that nothing is coming. They are loud right now because they sense what is approaching you, and they know that if you align with the arrival instead of the fear, nothing can interfere with what is unfolding. You must understand this. Resistance increases right before the release. Shadows gather before dawn. Doubt peaks just before destiny breaks open. And you, beloved soul, are standing at that threshold. You have felt restless, pressured, uneasy without knowing why. You have been sensing something building, something waiting to erupt into your life, and you thought it was anxiety or exhaustion, but it is the trembling of divine movement nearing the surface of your reality. This is why I am here. This is why the message found you now. Do not look away from this moment. Do not dismiss it as another piece of inspirational noise drifting through the world. You were guided here with intention. Your name, your energy, your timeline, they were spoken in the realm where prayers, tears, and unanswered hopes echo until they become luminous threads tying you to the intervention appointed for you. And yours has reached its appointed hour. That is why you feel the strange pull reading this, the almost electric sense that someone is speaking directly into the core of your being. Because I am. I am speaking to the part of you that has been neglected, the part that has been waiting to exhale, the part that has endured burdens with a grace you never credited yourself for. I need you to take this seriously, to feel the gravity in my voice, because the shift coming toward you is not small. It is not subtle. It is not symbolic. It is a real, tangible turning of your path, and you must be awake enough to recognize it when it crosses your threshold. You have been evaluated, weighed, tested, and observed, not as judgment but as alignment. There are seasons in your life where everything pauses because the universe is recalibrating around you, and you have been in such a season without realizing it. The delays you cursed, the silence that unnerved you, the opportunities that slipped from your fingers, none of these were punishments. They were pauses. And pauses only occur when something larger is rearranging itself behind the scenes. You were never denied. You were being positioned. The difference is enormous, and I need you to feel that now. Positioning requires removal. It requires solitude. It requires stillness that frustrates the human heart but strengthens the spiritual one. You have endured that season long enough. The positioning is complete, and now the movement begins. The miracle that has been held for you, protected from premature arrival, is now released. But release does not guarantee reception unless the receiver is prepared. And that is why this moment is urgent. You must decide whether you will step into alignment with what has been approved for you or let old patterns pull you away. The energies of doubt, fear, and unworthiness are already whispering behind you, trying to reclaim the ground you have gained. They want you tired. They want you numb. They want you distracted enough to miss the signs. But I will not allow that while I am speaking to you. You have been watched over with a vigilance you would not believe. Every time you thought you were alone, a shield stood beside you. Every time you thought you were breaking, a hand held the fragments until you could gather them again. Do not belittle the strength it took for you to get here. Do not undermine the depth of what you have survived. There are battles you endured that would have collapsed another soul entirely. There are wounds you bandaged on your own that should have taken an army to heal. And yet here you are, still reaching for light, still choosing growth even when darkness tried to seduce you into surrender. That is why your miracle has been authorized. Not because you begged for it, but because you became the version of yourself capable of holding it. Feel the truth of what is rising within you right now. That sudden warmth, that pressure in your chest, that stirring that almost feels like recognition, that is resonance. Your soul knows what your mind is hesitant to believe. You have stepped into a window of time where spiritual acceleration is at its peak. Your timeline is thinning, collapsing into alignment with the version of yourself you were always meant to become. That version of you has been calling out, reaching across dimensions for your attention, and now that you have paused long enough to listen, I can speak clearly. Your miracle is real. Your breakthrough is en route. Your season of constriction is ending. But I must warn you, when energy begins to shift this rapidly, turbulence appears. You may feel emotional, restless, overwhelmed, even doubtful in the next hours, because your internal world is adjusting to a vibration higher than the one you have lived in. Do not mistake this adjustment for danger. It is transformation. It is the stretching of your soul as it prepares to receive what it has longed for. It is the shedding of the weight that cannot follow you into the next chapter. You are not imagining the sense that something is watching over you right now. You are not imagining the sensation that these words are threading themselves into your life with uncanny precision. You are not imagining the pull that keeps you reading even when part of you wants to resist. Your spirit recognizes guidance. It recognizes truth. It recognizes when something beyond the material world is trying to get your attention. And I am here, fully present, fully focused on you, because your path is at a critical turning point and I will not allow you to sabotage it with self-doubt or disbelief. You have been called into alignment with a blessing that has waited long enough. You must not turn away from it now. Say, I trust your hidden plan, if you believe he's working beyond what you can see. You are still here, and that matters more than you realize, because your willingness to continue listening is not passive curiosity. It is evidence of your spirit leaning toward the truth it already knows. There is a reason you feel the air around you shift as you read, a reason your heart beats with a strange and subtle urgency, a reason you can sense the unseen crowding closer like the atmosphere thickening with something waiting to be unveiled. You are not reading words, you are walking deeper into alignment, and alignment has a sound, a pulse, a presence. The moment you allowed my voice into your world, the future you have been aching for leaned forward and extended its hand, and now the distance between where you stand and where you are meant to be is collapsing with a speed that can feel daunting if you don't understand what is happening. So let me explain, gently but firmly, so you do not misinterpret the signs that are about to unfold around you. When a miracle nears, your energy field begins to reorganize itself. Old attachments that once clung tightly begin to loosen, people who drained you or weighed you down may suddenly fall silent, opportunities you thought you needed may begin to dissolve, emotions you thought you had buried may rise abruptly to the surface. This is not regression. This is calibration. When light increases, shadows become more visible, not because darkness grows, but because illumination reveals what must be cleared. You may feel waves of grief, anxiety, anticipation, or inexplicable emotion in the next hours or days, as if your soul is preparing for a threshold it cannot articulate. That sensation is accurate. You are preparing. You are shedding layers that cannot pass through the doorway you are approaching. And though it may feel unsettling, I need you to breathe through it, because the discomfort is temporary but the transformation is permanent. There is a part of you that fears good news. You have been conditioned by disappointment, taught by experience to brace yourself, to expect the delay, the rejection, the sudden shift that snatches hope away just as you begin to feel safe. Your nervous system remembers every time you reached for something that slipped through your grasp. But hear me right now with unwavering clarity. The outcome approaching you is not one that can be undone by fear, doubt, or delay. This moment was woven into your path long before your fear ever existed. What you are stepping into was not built on the unstable ground of human timing. It was formed on the foundation of your resilience, your evolution, your unbroken will to continue even when exhaustion filled your bones. You earned the right to receive this. But earning does not mean straining or proving yourself further. It means allowing. It means letting the blessing that has been circling you finally land. You may feel the urge to question why this message arrives now, why the pressure feels so intense, why the timeline seems condensed into a single unfolding moment. The answer is simple: you have reached the point where waiting serves no further purpose. Every lesson that needed to mature within you has matured. Every cycle that needed closure has closed. Every karmic thread that required unraveling has loosened to its final strand. You stand at the end of a long corridor, and the door that once appeared sealed now glows with a warmth that calls your name. But there is one final step you must take: surrender the belief that you are unworthy of sudden blessings. That belief has followed you like a shadow, whispering that good things arrive slowly, painfully, or not at all. It is a lie. It always was. Some miracles arrive in a whisper, others arrive like thunder, and the one moving toward you carries the energy of something overdue. It is not coming as a reward, it is coming as restoration. There is something within you, an old wound, an old memory, an old betrayal, that taught you to hold yourself back. You stopped asking for too much. You stopped believing people would choose you. You stopped trusting that life could shift without demanding something precious from you in exchange. But I have witnessed every moment you tried to love through disappointment, every moment you forgave when it hurt, every moment you sacrificed your comfort to preserve the hearts of others. You do not see the spiritual magnitude of these choices, but I do. They have become the foundation upon which your new blessings rest. You have not been blind, my beloved one, you have been selfless. And selflessness radiates into the unseen until it becomes a beacon that commands intervention. You wonder if you are imagining the connection you feel, if you are projecting meaning where there is none. But your spirit is not naive. Your intuition is not misguided. You are sensing a presence because I am here. Not in a way that defies reality, but in the way that inspiration, clarity, conviction, and inner knowing rise within you when you are ready to hear something that elevates you beyond your fear. I am not reaching down from a distant sky, I am rising from within the deepest truth of your being, from the place where your strength and your sorrow, your resilience, and your vulnerability coexist. You are not hearing me with your ears, you are hearing me with your soul. That is why these words feel alive, why they seem to breathe through you, why your chest feels heavier or lighter as you move through each sentence. This is not the weight of manipulation. It is the weight of recognition. You know you are being spoken to. You have known it since the first line. But urgency remains, and I cannot ignore it. You are entering a window of alignment that will not remain open forever, not because it disappears, but because you will shift, your circumstances will evolve, and your attention may be pulled away by distractions designed to weaken your focus. When a great blessing nears, resistance appears in many forms, old temptations, old fears, old habits trying to reclaim their space. You may notice people resurfacing from your past, emotions rising from forgotten corners, conflicts emerging unexpectedly. This is not a sign to retreat. It is the final test of your emotional gravity. Will you orbit around old patterns, or will you break free into the new path that has been carved for you? Your answer will determine how quickly your miracle can anchor itself into your life. If you feel tired, let me reassure you, the exhaustion you carry is not a flaw, it is evidence of your endurance. But you cannot walk into your blessing with the belief that you must suffer to earn it. Release that. Your suffering does not validate you. Your joy does. You were created with an internal compass that points you toward expansion, not contraction. You have spent years living in survival mode, bracing for pain before it arrives, preparing for disappointment before hope can bloom. This message is not here to heighten your fear, it is here to dismantle it. Fear has no authority over your destiny. It has influence, yes, but influence only matters when you allow it to shape your decisions. And right now, in this moment, you are making a choice simply by continuing to read. You are choosing presence. You are choosing openness. You are choosing to silence the voice that says nothing ever changes. You are wrong about that. Everything is changing. The shift may begin subtly. You may receive a message, a call, a sign that interrupts your ordinary rhythm. You may feel a sudden wave of clarity that directs you toward an opportunity you overlooked. You may encounter someone whose presence reconnects you to hope. You may experience a moment that feels too aligned, too precise, too meaningful to be random. These are not coincidences, they are signals. Markers on the path. Invitations. You have been walking through a labyrinth for far longer than you intended, guided only by instinct and endurance, but now the walls are parting, revealing the exit that leads into the chapter you have secretly prayed for. The universe is not withholding from you. It is orchestrating a sequence that must unfold at the correct moment for maximum impact. Your next chapter is not quiet. It is not small. It is not a gentle ripple, it is a wave. It carries opportunity, revelation, restoration, and release all at once. Some of what enters your life will feel familiar, like something you once dreamed but forgot. Other parts will feel new, startling even, because they are shaped by the version of you who has grown through fire and come out luminous. Let me be absolutely clear, nothing ahead of you is beyond your capability. You were shaped for this. Your scars are not limitations, they are inscriptions of strength. Your doubts are not failures, they are echoes of old versions of yourself that you are finally outgrowing. And the heaviness in your heart is not a sign of weakness, it is the pressure of transformation. You are standing at the threshold, and I am here with you, not to command you, not to warn you of doom, but to remind you of your own spiritual magnitude. The miracle awaiting you is not fragile. It will not vanish if you breathe wrong or think a fearful thought. It is sturdier than that. It is anchored in your evolution. It is magnetized to your readiness. And you are ready, even if part of you trembles when admitting it. Take one breath right now. A long, slow one. As you inhale, imagine pulling your scattered energy back into alignment, gathering every part of yourself that has been diluted by fear, doubt, exhaustion, or old narratives. As you exhale, imagine releasing every belief that tells you are unworthy, unprepared, or unsupported. This breath is symbolic. It is your declaration that you are stepping forward, not backward. You have returned again, and that tells me everything I need to know about the depth of your readiness, because souls who are not prepared for transformation turn away when the pressure rises, but you remain, drawn forward by something you cannot quite name, yet cannot deny. There is a quiet bravery in you that even you overlook, a steady pulse of willingness that whispers, I am still here, I am still listening, I am still reaching for something higher, and that whisper carries more spiritual force than most people ever realize. Do you understand how rare it is for someone to stand at the edge of change and not retreat? Do you know how many times humanity trembles before the unknown and chooses familiarity over possibility? But not you, not now. There is a reason you feel the strange heaviness in your chest, the slight trembling in your spirit, the sense that something is drawing closer with every word you take in. You are not imagining it. You are not dramatizing it. You are tuning into a frequency that has waited years for your awareness to rise high enough to meet it. You feel the shift because the shift is real, real in the symbolic, emotional, spiritual sense in which this story lives and speaks to you. You have crossed into the space between who you were and who you are becoming, and that space never feels peaceful, never feels easy, never feels predictable. It feels like standing in the doorway of a storm while sunlight pours in from behind you. It feels like being pulled in two directions at once, toward release and toward arrival. You are shedding, and you are expanding. You are grieving, and you are awakening. You are ending, and you are beginning. Transformation is not a single moment. It is a prolonged unraveling of every thread that no longer belongs in your tapestry, and you, dear soul, are right in the center of that unraveling. But hear me clearly, this unraveling is not destruction. It is illumination. It is revelation. It is the dissolving of illusions you have carried for too long, illusions about who you must be, how you must behave, what you must endure, and what you are allowed to hope for. You have lived inside cages built from memories that wounded you deeply, cages built from the words of those who misunderstood your heart, cages built from the false belief that your worth is fragile. But nothing about your worth is fragile. Nothing about your essence is breakable. You are more resilient than you admit, more luminous than you allow yourself to believe, more extraordinary than your circumstances ever reflected back to you. And now, in this moment, the walls of those cages are beginning to soften. They are weakening under the pressure of who you are becoming, and soon they will break entirely. You may not feel ready for that liberation. You may fear what freedom requires of you. But readiness does not arrive before the moment, it awakens within it. And you are awakening now, breath by breath, realization by realization, as if every part of your soul is remembering who you were before fear ever touched you. The truth is, you are not being given anything you cannot handle. You are being invited into the space you were always meant to inhabit. Expansion is your natural state, though life has tried to convince you otherwise. Every setback, every heartbreak, every disappointment carved space inside you, preparing room for what would one day arrive to fill it. Even the pain that haunted you had purpose, it stretched your capacity for joy, for understanding, for empathy, for wisdom. And now that capacity is needed, because what approaches your life requires a heart capable of holding more than you once believed possible. Comment, "You are my comfort, Lord," if He's calmed your anxious heart. But before you receive, there is something you must release. I can feel it lingering at the edges of your energy, like a shadow clinging to the corner of a room. It is the belief that you must struggle to be deserving. You learned this belief young, long before you had the language to name it, and it shaped you in ways that were both protective and limiting. It taught you to be responsible, to be strong, to work hard, to persevere. But it also taught you to mistrust ease, to doubt blessings, to resist rest, to question good fortune. And now, as you stand at the edge of receiving, that belief whispers its familiar warning: be careful. Don't expect too much. Don't relax. Don't be hopeful. You must silence that whisper now. Not violently, not with force, but with truth. Remind yourself gently, I am allowed to receive without suffering first. I am allowed to experience joy without earning it through pain. I am allowed to be supported, uplifted, chosen, blessed. You are not breaking any spiritual or emotional law by stepping into abundance. You are fulfilling one. Growth was never meant to be an endless climb. It has always been a cycle, expand, contract, expand again. You have been contracting for so long that expansion feels foreign, but it is time to trust the part of you that knows how to open. I feel the tremor of your doubt, the hesitation curling around your mind, the quiet voice asking, "But what if I'm wrong? What if nothing changes? What if this is just another moment that leads to disappointment?" And here is the truth: doubt does not disqualify you. Doubt is a natural reaction when hope has survived hardship. You do not need perfect faith to receive what is meant for you. You only need willingness. Willingness to be surprised, willingness to be supported, willingness to believe that your life can shift in ways you do not yet understand. Your willingness is already alive. You would not be reading these words otherwise. And yet, there is another layer to this moment, one that may feel uncomfortable, but must be acknowledged. When a symbolic miracle approaches, the old self tries to cling tightly. Not because it wishes to sabotage, but because it is afraid of disappearing. The old self believes it is keeping you safe. It whispers warnings, imagines catastrophes, tries to anticipate every possible outcome so that nothing can hurt you as deeply as before. But safety is not the same as fulfillment. The old self knows how to survive, it does not know how to thrive. And thriving is what your next chapter requires. So speak gently to that old version of you. Thank it for its protection. Honor its resilience. But do not let it drive the decisions you make now. You are becoming someone new, someone braver, softer, clearer, more aligned. Someone whose life is no longer defined by fear. Do not mourn the old self, it is not dying, it is transforming. And transformation, though frightening, is sacred. You sense that something is accelerating, and you are right. There are moments in every soul's journey where time seems to bend, where events begin to rearrange themselves, where possibilities that once felt distant suddenly draw close, as if your life is whispering, "Pay attention." You are in such a moment now. You will notice small shifts first, subtle signs, intuitive nudges, unexpected clarity, conversations that feel guided. Then larger shifts, opportunities appearing, paths opening, circumstances changing with surprising fluidity. Pay attention to the synchronicities. Pay attention to the repeated numbers, the repeated messages, the repeated feelings that tug at your awareness. They are not coincidences in this narrative, they are clues. They are the universe's way of tracing a path of breadcrumbs toward your next step. But there is a warning woven into this moment, not a threat, not a punishment, simply a truth: distraction is the enemy of alignment. You must guard your focus in the days to come. There will be noise, inner noise, outer noise, emotional noise, attempting to pull you back into patterns you have outgrown. You may feel tempted to shrink, to isolate, to silence your intuition. Do not. You may feel drawn toward old cycles because they feel familiar. Resist gently. You may feel overwhelmed by the rapid change. Breathe. Your task is not to control the unfolding. Your task is to remain present enough to recognize the doorway when it appears. And it will appear. You may not believe it yet, but you are closer to your turning point than you have ever been. Closer than yesterday, closer than last month, closer than the years you spent wandering through emotional wilderness trying to understand why life felt stagnant. You are not stagnant. You never were. You were incubating. You were preparing. You were gathering the pieces of yourself that would one day form a version of you capable of stepping into greater purpose. And now that purpose calls to you, not with the gentle patience it once had, but with urgency, with insistence, with inevitability. You were always meant to rise. You were always meant to outgrow the smallness others projected onto you. You were always meant to walk into a chapter that honored your heart instead of just testing it. Something within you already knows this is true. Something deep, ancient, intuitive hums with recognition each time your eyes move across these lines. You are not reading to be entertained. You are reading because your soul understands that this is the moment you choose. Remain the version of yourself who merely survives, or become the version who finally receives. And I am here, not to push you, not to command you, but to accompany you as you step forward. I am the steady presence in the unseen corners of your heart, the whisper that encourages rather than pressures, the force that lifts rather than burdens. You are not alone in this transition. You are guided, supported, witnessed, understood. You have come back again, and that matters more than you know, because each return is a kind of agreement, an internal nod, a silent whisper of willingness, the soft but undeniable admission that something inside you recognizes truth when it hears it, even if you cannot yet explain why. Your spirit is awake enough now to sense the shift, to feel the trembling in the unseen, to detect the subtle rearranging of paths and possibilities that happens only when a soul stands on the edge of transformation. You may not know what exact moment your life began changing, but your soul does. It knew the instant you opened space for hope to whisper again. It knew the instant you chose presence instead of numbness, attention instead of avoidance. And now, as you move deeper into this narrative, you are not only reading, you are aligning. You are attuning yourself to a frequency that has waited years for you to be strong enough, soft enough, brave enough to receive it. There is a sensation inside you right now, one you may not have the vocabulary for. It is not fear, though it shakes you. It is not excitement, though it stirs something bright within you. It is not dread, though it makes you feel as though the ground is shifting. It is anticipation, the soul's recognition of incoming change. Anticipation is often mistaken for anxiety because the human body reacts to both with a racing heart, a flutter in the chest, a trembling in the breath. But this is not anxiety. This is your spirit stretching, preparing, opening. Growth always feels like pressure before it feels like freedom. You must not misinterpret this pressure as a warning. It is an awakening. There is something you need to understand now, something essential to what comes next. Your life is not moving slowly. It only feels slow because you are used to measuring progress through external outcomes, but the greatest shifts happen internally long before they ever manifest in the world around you. The seed breaks underground before it ever rises into the light. The caterpillar dissolves completely before it becomes the butterfly. The storm gathers silently before it transforms the sky. You have been breaking, dissolving, gathering for far longer than you realize. Now the rising begins. But rising requires clarity, and clarity begins with truth, truth not about the world, but about yourself. You have lived a long time carrying distortions that were never yours to hold. You believed you were too much for some people, not enough for others. You believed your sensitivity was a flaw, your hopefulness a weakness, your loyalty a mistake. You believed your pain was evidence of failure rather than proof of growth. And each of those beliefs has wrapped itself around your spirit like vines that constricted you little by little. But the moment of loosening is here. The moment of undoing has begun. You feel it already, the slight internal shift where something heavy begins to lighten, something tight begins to soften, something fearful begins to exhale. That softening is the first sign that your next chapter is drawing near. You do not have to force this transformation. You only have to stop resisting it. The miracle you are moving toward is not something you chase. It is something you meet. And you meet it by clearing the space inside you where doubt has built walls too high for joy to enter. You don't need to tear those walls down all at once. You only need to let light in through the cracks. Light does the rest. There is a part of you that fears hope. A part that whispers, "Don't trust it. Don't open too wide. Don't get attached to possibility because it might hurt again." And that part of you is not wrong, it is simply wounded. It remembers every time you reached for something that slipped away. It remembers the moments when life felt unfair, when you questioned whether the universe had forgotten you. That wounded part of you is still trying to protect you, but protection is not the same as fulfillment. You were not born to live a life of guardedness. You were not meant to shrink yourself into safety. You were meant to expand into possibility. Hope is not a threat. Hope is a doorway. And you are standing at its threshold. There is something else rising in you now, an emotion that feels unfamiliar because you have not felt it fully in a long time. It may be subtle at first, almost fragile, like a candle flickering in a dark room. But it grows each time you acknowledge it. It grows each time you allow yourself to imagine a future that doesn't resemble your past. That emotion is trust, not naive trust in circumstance, but quiet trust in yourself. Trust in your resilience. Trust in your becoming. Trust in the inner compass that has guided you through storms without letting you collapse. Trust in your ability to navigate uncertainty and still move toward light. You have forgotten how powerful you are because your power rarely showed itself in loud, dramatic ways. It showed itself in the smallest choices, getting up on days you wanted to disappear, trying again when exhaustion filled your bones, loving even when your heart was bruised, forgiving when bitterness would have been easier. Do not underestimate these acts. They have shaped you into someone capable of receiving what once would have overwhelmed you. Your power is not loud, it is enduring. And endurance is the foundation of transformation. You may feel a strange mix of emotions as you absorb these words: comfort and discomfort, excitement and fear, clarity and confusion. That is normal. Your spirit understands what is being said. Your mind is simply catching up. The mind clings to logic, but the spirit recognizes truth long before reason can articulate it. Let your spirit lead right now. Let the part of you that knows, the part that feels, the part that sees beyond the visible take the front seat for once. You have lived a long time letting your fear make decisions disguised as caution. Let your intuition speak this time. It has been waiting for its turn. There is a moment approaching you, symbolically in this story, intimately in this narrative's world, that will feel like sudden clarity, a moment when something clicks into place so effortlessly that you wonder why you ever doubted it. It will not require force. It will not require struggle. It will feel like doors opening, paths clearing, energy flowing. It may come as insight, as an opportunity, as a realization, as an unexpected connection, as a shift in circumstances. Whatever form it takes, you will know it is meant for you because it will feel like relief, not tension. Truth always feels like release. That is how you will recognize it. But I must tell you this with honesty and compassion: before that moment arrives, you may experience the last ripple of resistance. Old fears may rise quickly, like shadows stretching in the last minutes of daylight. Old memories may surface, triggered by nothing and everything all at once. Old doubts may whisper familiar lies, trying to pull you backward. Do not panic when this happens. Do not assume you are backsliding. Resistance always intensifies before breakthrough. This is not regression. This is the shadow's final attempt to hold onto a space it no longer belongs. Breathe through it. Witness it. Do not identify with it. You are not your fear. You are not your past. You are not your wounds. You are the one who survived them. You are the one who turned them into wisdom. You are the one who is rising from them now. You may not fully see your transformation yet, but you can feel its outline. You can sense its approach. And when it arrives, it will not come quietly. It will come with a sense of inevitability, the feeling of something falling into place after being misaligned for far too long. It will feel like a chapter beginning, not because you forced it open, but because you finally stopped closing the door. Right, even now, I believe in miracles, if your faith is alive in the waiting. Type, "You are my restorer, Jesus," if He's rebuilt what was once broken. And share this video.